forgot my Kleenex, so then we're not live. Hi, I'm live. Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. We have finally made it back. I have like 3 boxes of Kleenex right here. Silly me. Silly me. All right, let's go live here on this. So that'll sort this out over here. It's going to take a few seconds. Great. Oh, this is fabulous. I love how it's showing me. Good morning, everybody. Okay, good. Perfect. That's taken care of. Lovely. Now let's go look in YouTube. Make sure that we're live on YouTube, and then we will sort of get this show on the road. Huh. Certainly don't look live in YouTube, which is really weird because that's the one. There you go. Totally live. Okay, great. We're good. Let's get going then. Okay. We're going to put Streamlabs up so I can see myself, and then we can put on some music to make everybody feel happy. We're ready? Let's do the music, okay? Hold on, it's coming. It'll be a second. Yeah, there we go. Good morning. It is a little later than usual, 9:10, but we are live and we are happy. So I wanted to start today off because this way, specifically, because the September 5th deadlines are coming up. So for anyone who is new to research administration, the NIH has some standard dates during the year where grants are typically due. And if you do a search for, oh my God, I'm going to find this in a second. If you do a search for NIH standard due dates, and I wonder if I can share I don't think I have this set up yet to share my desktop, but there's no reason why I can't do that. Let's see, perfect. And then we can window capture, and then I can capture the one that has standard due dates. There we go. Done. Okay. All right, let's make this a little bit smaller so that you can see it. And then we'll take a look at these dates. There we go. Standard due dates. So this is a really great tool for anyone who submits NIH grants. It's great because it sort of tells you the general deadlines. Okay, so for all of the general grants that have, there's P series, the R series, the T series, and so on. And you'll notice on the right-hand side, there are, at the top, you'll notice there's cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3. These are the 3 standard due dates during the year for the NIH. And right now, you can see that we're nearing the September 25th, and then there's some October 5th deadlines here too. But we're nearing the September deadlines. So we have a whole bunch of deadlines coming up right now. For various grants, and that means that if you have subawards, that you're going to need to be reaching out to the subawards to get their paperwork, get their budget, and their documentation in. Because if you have an internal deadline that's let's say 10 business days before September 5th, let's say. So just using that as like a ballpark. So I'm just going to, my math is not great. So let's say August 25th, right? Let's just say. So which means we're already getting close to the day where it would be due at your organizational central office, right? And so one of the biggest challenges, I think, for any RA at any point in time is recognizing that, okay, I have my internal deadlines, and then I have the deadline, then I have to get stuff from my subawardee. They have their internal deadlines. And so in order to get something in time, you almost have to start it like so much earlier than one would actually expect, like a month in advance. And it's tough because with all the other competing priorities we have coming in, these things kind of sneak up on us almost every year. These things sneak up on us. What I have found helpful is I use Asana as my project manager. And in Asana, I kind of just have a running list of like stuff that is coming up and then like generally when it is due. And what I do is if let's say the deadline is the, the 5th, then I'll put in my calendar like 2 months in advance that this is coming up, because I know that it's going to take me like a couple weeks to sort of just remember to assimilate that into my body that, oh, okay, I'm going to have to start gearing up for this. Okay, now that I'm gearing up for this, I'm going to need to make sure that I send out these emails and so on. So I usually will try to like to put a tickler in to remind me, okay, this is coming up. Then I'll usually like push it off for like a week or so and say, okay, I'm going to work on this and send out the emails and do the things a week from now or 2 weeks from now. And because I've given myself so much advance warning, I'm able to do it. The challenge exists when you're either covering, taking over a portfolio, or have too many deadlines where it's not like there's just not enough time for you to get all of it into your project. Even with the best of systems and the best of calendars and the best of circumstances, it's difficult to be able to get every single one of those on your calendar or in your project manager when you first take over, or as you're still getting acclimated, or if like you're just treading water. So something I really want to like stress is that though we all do our very, very best to make sure that we're on top of everything and we're getting to the other RAs with enough time for them to be able to get their stuff done and whatnot, you may run into situations where sometimes things fall through the cracks, right? And I'll tell you something I've been hearing a lot lately from myself and from other research administrators as well lately, is that because of the amount of work that's there, like even if you may check off like 98 things that you did right, because of the volume, there's going to be some things statistically that fall through the cracks. That's just, there's no way to get around that. Even if you were a robot, right, that would happen. Like, I'll give you a really good example of robots doing this, right? You use ChatGPT, for example. Lots of people are using it right now to clean up text, tidy up language, whatever it is, right? They're using it for research. But even knowing that that is a machine that you've programmed to do a certain thing, we know that you can't trust it 100% of the time. And it's a machine designed to do that thing, right? So even if a machine is designed to say, create, like Dolly, create an image out of X, create an image out of Y. Did I forget to bring my iced tea in here? I totally did. Create an image out of X or create an image out of Y. And it generates that image. Not every image is going to be a great one. I have images that I have generated where like there's 4 people in a library and like some hands are like, there's somebody leaning on a desk and their hand is like literally going through the desk, and somebody's head is in a ceiling. Even computers are not able to get it right 100% of the time, right? And if you're only dealing with 1 or 2 things in your day, so you only have 2 deadlines, then it's probably going to be likely that you're going to be able to meet it. Or if you're not able to meet it, how do you navigate that space? If you have 45 deadlines all coming up in the next 30 days, that's a different conversation and a different type of work and a different level of volume, right? And at that point, you are going to make mistakes. That's statistically part of the process. Hi, Kelly. Good to see you. So the thing that I want to sort of just lay out there for everybody is that you did 98 things right, whatever they are, right? And it's so easy for us to fixate on that one deadline we missed, or, oh, shoot, that progress report needed X, and I did all of these other things, and that one thing that I needed to do for it, I forgot. And now, we usually tend to fixate on that one thing. Especially right now when you have the September deadlines coming up, you're going to have multiple different deadlines. So I just showed you the NIH ones, right? Like AHA has their fellowship coming up. JDRF has their deadlines. So like there's a lot of deadlines coming up all at once, plus progress reports. So right now, and if you deal with HR, you're probably also dealing with new hires, right? And onboarding and things like that. So that's a lot to have happening right at the August, September time. So I want to just remind you, work will always be there. It is definitely worth it to slow down, give yourself grace, and really give yourself the opportunity to calibrate what you can and can't do, how you may or may not be able to prioritize. And if you're looking for tools and resources to help you figure out how to do that, you can head over to Manessa.tv and check out the Commitment to Clock Out series, which talks specifically about how do you position the individual activities that we do as an RA. How do you leverage the tools that exist out there to be able to prioritize in such a way that, like, you do the things you can, but you don't feel bad about the things that you can't, because there's an understanding that the volume is very, very high. Okay, before we jump into hot jobs, which are coming up, we talked about deadlines. I need to get my iced tea because I realized I left it, and now I'm like ridiculously dehydrated. So please hold. I will be right back. Okay. We have some exciting jobs today, too. We have some really, really exciting job stuff. But before we dive into the jobs, I just want to talk about volunteering a little, because Kelly's here. And it made me think about... Kelly and I do a lot of stuff together. So we're on a collaborate committee together, and we just keep finding ways to connect. And so... and we have been on the ERA committee together, and what else have I been volunteering on this year? I think I also volunteered on the professional development committee for Region 1, and then now at the tail end of the year, yes, oh my god, Syra wrote this. So this is Syra's book, everybody. So I don't know if you know, my sister is a researcher. Oh god, it's dusty, don't let her know that. My sister is a research administrator also, and so she wrote this book with her daughter, Avery, and this was a labor of love. Oh my god, was it a labor of love for Syra? She wrote this book with her little girl. Oh my god, how old was she at the time? Like 7 or 6, like. And my mom was a library. Oh look, this is Avery dedicated it to me. Oh my god, this is before she could even write her name, and it's dedicated to my mom, who was an elementary librarian. So it's called Beastie and Battleina Adventures in Space. It's available at shinewithsyra.com. I really need to make sure that she has that on her, because she has earrings, right? She sells earrings. She makes these. Her family makes these. They're very creative. And I need to make sure that this is on her thing. So yeah, Syra, seriously, it's such a good story how this came to be. Yeah, it's so gorgeous. She found the illustrator on Fiverr, and when the illustrator sent her like the first images, we were like, oh my god, this is like magical. This is so magical. It's amazing. One of the things Syra has actually, and Syra and I talk about this a lot, is that research administrators tend to be very, very creative. Like, we all like having some sort of a creative outlet of some kind. Like I don't create things like Syra does. Like my hand-eye coordination is not great. So for me, I I create my spaces, or I draw in Procreate where I can like delete shit. That's if I can delete it, I'm happy. It's really hard for me to like paint on canvas or do something on paper where it's like it's there. Like forever it's there. Yeah, no, that doesn't work for me. Procreate is like the greatest thing to ever happen. Okay, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, volunteering. So, one of the things, I wondered what you were going to say you did. I was like, the second I say this, I was like, I wonder what Kelly does. And I was going to guess that it was going to be some sort of knitting or crocheting type thing. Oh, that must have been awful for you when you injured your hand then, that you weren't able to actually do any of that. Because that really sucks, like when you can't do the thing. I used to cross stitch, but my eyesight is not, it's actually really hard for me to focus. However, I'm going to tell you all a story, and this is complete non sequitur, and then we'll come back to research administration, but this is a good one. So I made these giant cross stitches. Like, they're really dramatic. These are like art pieces for my sister's 2 older children, Butchie and Eliza. And I was cross stitching very avidly when I did Butchie, so it took me like 800 hours over the course of, no, that one was actually only like 300 hours. That was only like 300 hours. And then I did one for Eliza, and that one took about 600 hours. Then I did one for my best friend that one took about 1,000 hours. And then I was doing one for Avery, and I am literally like this close to being done with it. Like, it's got one little 2-inch by 2-inch square on like a giant thing that's like that big. And oh no, ERA Commons is logging me out. And I haven't finished it yet. And I'm like, I really need to finish it because, first of all, like, I can't have anything happen to me before it's done, because God, if Avery is the only child that doesn't get one, Sire will, like, she will hold that to her forever. And so I thought maybe she doesn't even care. Well, apparently she does care, and she does know, and she does remember, and she does make comments about it. And so I'm like, before my eyesight gets bad, like, I just have to finish this little square, get it all framed for her in a plaque, and then each of the kids will have it, and we will be done, right? Like, I just have to finish this one square. It's been sitting for 6 years. Like, that's how long I started it when Avery was born. And Avery was like, she's like 11. So she was born a long time ago. So yeah, so that's my story on the cross stitching. So more to come on that. And the more to come might just be, is it done yet? No, it hasn't moved in 11 years. So it's probably not going to move, but I'll do it eventually. Okay, so what were we going to move on to? We were going to move to volunteering. That's what we're talking about. So one of the conversations that happened while we were all at NCURA recently in DC was the conversation about career trajectories for research administrators, where they want to go in their careers, where you want to go in your career. Do you want to get into management? Do you not want to get into management? Do you want to specialize? Do you not want to specialize? How do you navigate your career in research administration? The other thing that has come up a lot in my conversations, not at NCURA, but in the one-on-one conversations that I have with research administrators who book calls with me to sort of just nerd out about research administration, is the loneliness that exists if you are not very active at NCURA, or if you are active but haven't yet figured out how to like build your community in that space, or what you may want to do in research administration. So for many of us who came up in research administration, and this is going to resonate with Kelly, we came up during a time when research administration, you could do kind of all the things. And like, I could be a full spectrum research administrator from cradle to grave and know all the things. Over the course of many years, I still have a broad spectrum of understanding, but there are areas of compliance where I just have enough information to know where to go and who to connect with, but not enough to be the expert in that area, just because like, for example, foreign involvement. Like, I know enough to know what I need to do to make sure that the due diligence is done and I've connected with the right people. But there are other people who have a deeper understanding of foreign involvement or of clinical trials, specifically vis-a-vis HIPAA and data and so on, because that is their whole life. That is their area of expertise. So that's not an area I have chosen to focus my energy. I focus my energy more on compliance and cleanup and closeouts and crisis management, right? That's where I put my attention. We're not really in a space anymore where you can be cradle to grave and know everything in every area and be that expert, right? So for research administrators who are mentoring newer research administrators coming in, it's a bit of a challenge because the way we came up in the industry is not the way that they're going to come up in the industry. And so one of the things that most RAs decide now over the course of time is, what do I like? What do I not like? Do I like pre-award? Do I like post-award? Do I want a special? What are those things? Without having any exposure to it, though, it's difficult to know whether you like it or not, or whether that's the direction you want your career to go in, especially if you're not entirely sure what the lucrativity is of that particular aspect. So I think lucrativeness aside, because right now you're going to find a wide variety of salaries depending on which organizations you're at, what their particular worldview is. It's too much variety at this point for us to talk about that, other than to say salaries aren't great, but they're getting better. But in terms of what you may want to do, being on some of these committees, the Collaborate Committee, the magazine committee, I'm a contributing editor for the NCURA magazine this year, working as a volunteer on with your region for your regional conference, or even for the national conference, participating in the mentorship programs, either as a mentee or a mentor, depending on where you are in your career, volunteering to do YouTube Tuesdays and some of those things. These are all ways in which there is a lot of exposure provided. There's a lot of opportunities provided to create exposure to different areas of research administration, so that anybody who is either seasoned and like, you know what, I want to become an expert in something else because I've been doing this for like 30 years and I want to do something different. Or someone new who's like, I don't know enough about research administration to know what it is that I want to do. And my organization has me just working on this. And so I don't understand the bigger picture or whatever it is. There are so many different ways in which you can connect and build those relationships. The other thing I want to suggest, and I'm actually going to go to this website so that you can see it here, and you know that it's there. Now, I am, over the course of the next couple of months, going to get more involved in this community, because I really love this idea. Let me just share my screen here. Okay, so this is the Optimum department. So you can get there by going here. Let me. I think I can bring this down. There you go. You can see the URL there. It's optimumdept.com, the Optimum department. It is run by Sarah Trimmer. And it is an online community. I think I can just log in from here. Let's see. I should be able to just log in from here. Let's see. Logging in. Perfect. Okay. And then right here in research, this is like the research administration community. This is an on... Oh, that's weird. That's super weird. There we go. I was like, this is Kajabi. That's not a thing that happens. Okay. So, this is a community that was created by Sarah Trimmer specifically for research administrators who are looking to have the kinds of conversations that we have in corners and in like in little rooms or after sessions at our conferences, to have them in an online space. Now, she and I actually have been talking for a really, really long time about communities and so on and so forth. And when we found that we had very similar, that many of the platforms that exist to be able to do community work, like, you know, a lot of times people do it on Facebook, or people will do it on LinkedIn groups and things like that, right? And even collaborate. These systems they're great, but they're not necessarily designed to build community in the way in which this platform is. So in another life, one of the things that I did was build communities online. And so I built quite a few, you know, some of them grew to be giant. Sarah and I had a community of about 20,000 people at one point, which is when we realized that that's a very big community and really hard to like sort of manage. And so over the years, I've become very excited about the kinds of platforms like this one that are literally being created to facilitate conversation between people who are in similar spaces, doing work in similar things and so on. And so I love, the second I met Sarah and she said, look at my community, I'm like, oh my God, what can I do to help support you in this community? So this is a really great place to come for you to build relationships with people, just sort of like on an online basis. It's kind of chill, kind of casual, but also you can ask research administration questions, and it's sort of like a community that we can exist in that is not quite so formal or official as NCUR or SRE or so on. Because the truth of the matter is this, and this is like really important, is that, all of these groups and communities have their place, right? And have their role. And I think one of the biggest challenges that exists for any organization where they are the beacon of and focus of the industry is that it's a lot of pressure, right? It's a lot of pressure to do all of the things, right? And NCUR is an incredible educational and community building space for sort of like officially moving through your career. But we also need to have some unofficial spaces where we can kind of sit, hang out, let loose, and let our hair down, so to speak. And this is a really great opportunity to do that. So I cannot recommend that enough. Okay. So we talked about building your career. We talked about, don't forget, September deadlines are coming up, which means if you need to reach out to your sub-awards, reach out to them. If you need to get documentation from them, get documentation from them. If you have RPPRs due in which you have sub-awards, don't forget to reach out to them and get their other support, and they're all personnel. This is the time of year where all of these things start to become due, and we all start to be like, oh my God, there's one, there's another. Somebody wants a report. Somebody wants the other support. Somebody wants this. So keep in mind that this is the time of year where we start to get a little bit tumultuous and the deadlines are coming, and it's really all about juggling. I was talking to someone the other day and I said, imagine if you could slow down time, right? So like you're sitting here and you're just like, I'm going to slow time down. That would be fun, right? Okay. Um, so what I want to leave with, there's a couple things. One is, okay. I have been gushing about Josh Rosenberg. So if you haven't seen Josh Rosenberg's video on the YouTube Tuesday from, I think it's probably like 3 weeks ago now, it was so good. It was so good. Oh my God, it was killer good. And the reason why it was so good was it was about how do you get control over your day, right? And because this is a problem we are all having, and you know that this is something I have a huge, huge passion for, I was excited to see his video. And I want to share some of the key tips that I pulled out from him related to saving time as a research administrator. Okay, but watch the video for sure. Watch the video. But here are the top 10s that he had. Okay, so the first thing he said is he typically has Mondays and Wednesdays being his busy meetings day. He does not have meetings more than 45 minutes so that he has space between meetings. And I think that for me, that's like a game changer because my God, I was constantly having to be like, hold on, I'll be late to my next meeting because I have to pee, grab a drink, come back, right? Pee, grab a drink, come back. So you're 5 minutes late to literally every meeting because no meeting ends exactly on time. And so now you're constantly just trying to get ahead of the game and you're constantly feeling like you're behind. So one of the greatest things ever, 45-minute meetings. So smart. Has 2 days where he does heavy meetings, right? Heavy meetings. And then on the days that he has those heavy meetings, he does not put any like work tasks that he needs to do, like no reconciliations, no labor cost transfers, no big tasks, because he's just going to be moving from meeting to meeting to meeting. And I think that is really, really, really clever because first of all, meetings still count as work. I know it doesn't feel like it, but they do because you still have to do them to be able to move forward. But two, context switching is really, really hard. So if I'm sitting here having a conversation with you, my mind is in a very specific place in terms of how I am engaging with the world around me. If I'm sitting down trying to focus on a submission or a progress report or reconciliation, it's going to require an intense amount of effort, focus, and work, right? Now I have to switch here and go into a completely different mode. And now we're going to talk and engage as human beings, right? Kelly, I love this so much. Kelly, every meeting has an agenda. Oh, that is the most delicious thing ever. And I'm gonna like just hug that one because I had a PI once who wanted to meet for everything, and not everything needs to be a meeting. At the time, there was more time available, and so yeah, you could do a meeting, sit, talk, and so on. But now it's really not feasible to have a 30-minute meeting for something that could take 2 seconds in an email, right? So asking people, what is this meeting going to be about? What is the agenda? Kelly, can I ask you something? I'm actually curious because I tend to be like, I've tried to find really nice ways of saying it and asking it, and so I'm curious to know, like, if let's say I ask you for a meeting, right? So I'm like, Kelly, hey, can we meet about blah, 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 right? Would you just respond and say, hey, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Can you send me an agenda first? Like, what do you say if somebody sort of is almost like presuming that the meeting is going to happen, right? Yeah, let's get this on our calendar as if it's a foregone conclusion. And you're like, no, we're not going to do a meeting for everything. So like, I'm curious to know how you redirect, because that's something that I struggle with a little bit, is like the redirection. I tried something the other day. I said, what did I say? I was like, I want to do as much work as possible outside of meetings. I think I said something like that. And I was like, I don't know that I really like the way that came out. So I'm curious to know like how you deflect because I'll tell you, I'm also a perpetrator of this in that, like, I hate meetings for no reason, but sometimes I'm like, oh, this would, let's just do a meeting. And because I'm not thinking and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to deal with it now, or I'll deal with it later, or what have you. So like, there is an element of me for sure, have to, what's the word I'm looking for? Let go of our predilection for meetings. I also would like to say that as I was just talking, I just noticed how crooked my nose is. Like every so often I will see myself, my face, and be like, holy shit, my nose is really fucking crooked. Like, wow. Most of the time I don't notice it, but as I was talking there, I just saw this little there. It's like it's like that. And I'm like, holy shit. That is a really crooked nose. Sorry, I totally got distracted by my nose. Great. What are the outcomes we need? I love that. What are the outcomes we need? That's a really good, because I know that a lot of people struggle with deflecting from meetings. So that's a really good line to use. What are the outcomes we're looking for? What are the outcomes we need from this meeting? And that kind of can start a conversation. Sometimes maybe the person doing the responding will be like, maybe this doesn't need to be a meeting, right? They realize it themselves. They're like, as I'm talking about this, we could probably get those outcomes now. Or I've had it happen actually where somebody will send an email and say, okay, this is what I want to talk about. And I already have like, oh, here's the spreadsheet and here's this and here's that. We don't need a meeting. Great. That kind of thing. Love it. Kelly does this. So Kelly says, I also block off time on my Outlook for big focus items like RPPR, account reconciliation, so no one thinks it's open. That's actually what Tuesday, Thursday are for scattered meetings. That's what Josh does. And he blocks off time for flow time. I also block off time for flow time. Somebody brought this up to me once, and so I want to kind of highlight this, that it didn't occur to me until somebody brought this up, that there are managers who insist on seeing their staff's calendar. And by seeing their staff calendar, I mean, they want to see, like, have transparency into exactly what it is that they're doing. And have an intersection with managers who want to be able to see it and also believe that flow time is a waste of time, or they hold opinions about flow time that makes it difficult for you to block your calendar off because they say take that off your calendar. So I know of people this has happened to. And so if you are in a space where your manager is micromanaging your time at that level, it might be time for a different kind of conversation. Like it's likely that you're not feeling great about your work environment, but if that is something that is not possible because of that, then what I would recommend is find other ways of managing your calendar and doing things like that. Because like it was really interesting to me the number of people who messaged me and said my boss won't let me take flow time, and I thought that was really weird on the boss's point, by the way, like because like it's a scientific fact that flow time actually is beneficial, but I can only assume that there's other things going on with that manager and that it doesn't really have anything to do with flow time. And so in that case, it just might be more effective for you to find alternative ways of managing your schedule that don't involve flow time, or blocking it off differently, right? Call it something else. But that is critical. Like what Kelly said, what Josh said, what I said, flow time is where, because once you get into flow, you actually are capable of working like significantly faster, more effectively, more efficiently. It takes about 15-20 minutes to get into flow. If you get distracted, it takes you 15-20 minutes to get back into flow, right? And so it's really important to have, when you do your flow time, turn off your notifications, shut down your email, turn off the buzzing on your phone. Like interruptions will be the death of the flow time. Okay. And avoid meetings at all costs. I think we can all agree with that. I want to, does anybody know, is there like I want to look up, like, is there like a meetings manifesto, like somebody who sit there saying, this is my belief on what meetings should be and like how we want to approach them. And it's like coming at it from this like revolutionary way. I'm just looking it up right now because the meeting manifesto, a framework for better meetings. Look at that. Apparently there is a meetings manifesto. Invite fewer people, have shorter conversations, listen more, say less, relax, make it a walking meeting, turn off your video from time to time, trust people. I don't like this. I don't like the last one. The last one says smile. It's like, no, I'll be really honest with you. I can't always smile on meetings. Yeah, no one can see beyond. Yeah, I prefer that type of calendar because like I remember I had a boss who said, I want to be able to see exactly what each of your meetings are. And I said, no. I said, no, there's no reason why you need to see that. Like, I'm a professional. There is an element of trust that needs to exist between us, that I know how to manage my calendar. And if you don't think I know how to manage my calendar, then we need to be having a different conversation, right? Like that's ultimately what it is. And I mean, so I think, again, going back to what Kelly said, if you are able to not have somebody see just free busy, that's always ideal. And that's how I typically have it, is you can see free busy, but that's it. Okay, apparently there's a lot of meeting manifestos, so I'm going to have to go through this later, because apparently this is not as as unique of an idea as I thought it might be. Okay, last but not least, and then we're going to wrap up, is hot jobs, everybody. Hot jobs. Okay, we have so many hot jobs coming up right now, so I am excited about a few things. The first, it's over here. It's not over there. Okay, so I have about 5 or 6 really good ones coming up. Some of the salaries on these are in the 6 figures, which I really, really like to see. 6-figure research administration jobs are incredible. They're amazing. These are all remote, 100% remote. We have some coming in from University of Southern California. That is in the College of Letters. We have University of Michigan. Oh, this is the delicious one. This is the one that I think is $100,000. Post-award team lead, Georgetown. Those are good ones. So I'll be posting that today or tomorrow. So our list of jobs. If you have a hot job that you want me to post, then feel free to just post it on your own LinkedIn, tag me, tag hot jobs, and I will add it to my list. Somebody did that the other day. It was a great job. It's an administrative manager for $110,000. Salary is fucking amazing, right? Remote, it's got all the things. It's got all the things we want. So what I'm seeing now, and this is really exciting to me related to the hot jobs, okay? Because you know that my thing is adequate pay, right? Which you know that I do not think that any of us, there we go. Yeah, you know that I do not believe that most places pay fairly for research administrators, and that we need to all be getting a raise, a significant raise, for the work that we do, because research administration work is extremely highly skilled work, for which you also do not necessarily need a degree, but it's still very highly skilled work. And a lot of HR departments have a lot of trouble understanding what that means. I don't understand what you're saying. You're saying that it's highly skilled and you don't need a degree? This makes no sense. It does. It makes 100% sense. It does. So I don't know what to say about that, except weird. However, clearly some organizations are seeing what is benefits. Money is acceptable. You know what? It's actually, so I'm glad you brought that up. I did not see the benefits in all of these places. However, I'm glad you said that, because for some people, it's not, we get to stages in our career, like, where the money is less important than other things. And I am so with you, like 100% with you, Kelly, on this one. And it's one of the things that whenever I talk to people about finding new jobs, and one of my upcoming guests for the podcast actually talks about this as well, is that if you just chase the money and don't think about your whole life holistically and what you need, right, you may find yourself sacrificing more than you expect, even though, like, your job pays more. The delta is worse because the other things that are important in your life you're not getting, right? Cadillac healthcare for me is like a non-negotiable, like freaking non-negotiable. Like I am just too not well all the time to not have amazing healthcare. So I'm with you 100%. And so I think that's also really important. So I typically look at the ones with salary at the highest salary first. And remote, because that typically tells me something about the organization in terms of where do you value your research administrators and where do you value your people, right? Where do you value the people who are investing their time, energy, and expertise in your organization? How do you value them and how do you approach them? And then remoteness, right? Because that for me says, how do you approach the world? If you are, somebody was saying the other day, I need my RAs in the office. And I said, why? What exactly are we doing that requires me to be in front of your face? Because everything that I do can be done remotely. So what is it? And I understand that some people do want that connection. Absolutely. And if you want that, absolutely get it. But it's not a requirement to do a good job on a corporate level, right? So yeah, so so I look at those with the assumption, now that I'm thinking about it, with the assumption that the healthcare will be good, right? Because here's the thing, right? When you get to the stage where you're looking for you want to make sure that the healthcare is what's good, you start to get a list of what is and isn't good healthcare, right? And then when you see certain things, you're like, yeah, no, I'm not applying for that job. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that one. And it's the case here. So a while back, many moons ago, and if you're in Massachusetts, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say this. So there was a brief period of time where Allie and I had Steward Healthcare. I think we had Aetna maybe. And so or whatever it was, we had Steward Healthcare. And that has never been the greatest, in Massachusetts, and they just filed for bankruptcy. They've had to come back from it like a dozen times. It's the whole thing. And honestly, it was it was not the greatest time of my life there. And it actually was what made me realize that it falls differently on my list of metrics now, than it did before. And, especially after Allie's company changed their, health insurance, and the health insurance that they changed to doesn't cover, gender affirming care completely. And so it's a battle, and and even though in Massachusetts that's illegal, there are ways to get around it. And so this was a whole thing. And so we ended up actually having to get insurance through my consulting company because of the health insurance. So now we have Cadillac health insurance, but we pay for it out the ass. Like, it's just fucking bullshit. So, okay. So where was I going with that? You got me on healthcare. Okay, listen, you cannot get me talking about healthcare. Like, I cannot. Because I have such strong feelings about healthcare. I feel like the amount of money that we have to pay for healthcare in this country is ridiculous. Okay. However, these jobs, going back to the sort of thing, is I picked those because of the philosophy, but now I kind of want to, and sometimes if they don't have the salary, I'll actually go hunting for the job grade to see, like, okay, it says grade blah. Is there a place I can find what the job grade is for the organization, and then say, okay, based off of this is what the salary range is going to be, right? And it's not really a jump to go and say, what is their health insurance? Be like, okay, as a bonus, they have amazing health insurance. Yeah, okay. So the takeaways, I think, for today are, we talked about so many different things. I am definitely on an upswing. I can tell I'm on an upswing because, I have, anxiety and depression, and the pendulum, it swings both ways. So like when you're in a low time, you're in a low time, and you're like, oh my God, everything sucks. And when you're a high time, suddenly you're like, I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about this. I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to share that. So, that's clearly what today is. And so I guess the lesson for today is to be very, very mindful of what your needs are, what your body's needs are, what your needs are in a job, what your needs are for your career growth, what your needs are, heck, even for upcoming deadlines, right? No, you're amazing. I love having you here. Honestly, like, this is my joy. Like, in fact, the thing I'm going to say this, like, totally, totally honestly, the last couple of weeks I haven't been able to get on. And the thing that I was like, oh my God, I was like, I'm going to miss talking to Kelly. And today I actually thought to myself, I hope Kelly hasn't given up on intent, because I miss her. So you have not been derailing me as much as you've been keeping the conversation very, very interesting. So now I'm going to go off, because I actually have, the reason why I brought all this progress report stuff up to you is because I have progress reports. I have all of these. I have like so many SBIRs, and I have 3 PCORIs. So I have a lot of various things happening. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not the only one who's dealing with these situations. So I'm going to just remind everyone, reach out to your subs for your all personnels, for your other supports, for the budgets that you need for the upcoming deadlines. Make sure you get those emails out, because they can work on their shit while you're working on yours, and then you won't have to worry about it, and then you won't have that moment that goes, oh shit, I forgot to email the subs, and because we've all been there, everybody. We've all been there. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I am absolutely going to see you next week. We will, same bad time, same bad channel, and we will talk more about research administration. In the meantime, if you have any hot jobs, send them my way. If you are looking for a job, come talk to me. Let's see what we have, what's out there in the world, and what you're able to do. And if you're thinking about becoming a research administrator, also reach out to me. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Ooh, we're going to do this.